Oh yeah, she looks like she means business now. About ready to tear into it? Yeah. Where's the hammer? Hey everybody, welcome back to Bad Luck Garage. Over here with Uncle Ray. We're about to start working on CC again. So a couple months ago, we got a great deal from Adam Geske on this this used Holley high ram, and also from Adam, we got a set of 1500 cc snake eater injectors. So this is going on here today. We're going to pull the old intake off, get the new intake on. Got to finish making up a couple fuel lines, and hopefully everything will be good. Just a little word about this intake here, guys. This intake is mainly for max effort, like high RPM. As you've seen in the videos before, the converter we got in this thing, it flashes when I take off in boost. It flashes to close to 5 grand. So this car never sees at full throttle. It never sees anything under probably 5,500 RPM. We usually shift it right around 7,000. So this intake ought to be perfect for that. Now, in addition to the intake, we've also got a 102 millimeter throttle body that's going on here. This is just your run-of-the-mill eBay throttle body. I'll put a link in the video description for an eBay search, but they're all pretty much the same. We've got a couple other parts that are going to be going on here too from LSX Innovations, one of our sponsors. So I will slow the camera down and explain that when we get that put on. But for now, I'm probably just going to do a little sped up video of us taking the old intake off. So the old intake off, and the first thing we're going to do is we have this nice billet aluminum valley cover from LSX Innovations here. So I'm going to put a link for this in the description, but it comes with the valley cover, and they send you these nice fasten all bolts, flathead bolts here to put on here. So we're not running the knock sensors, so we don't need the knock sensors there. And now that you know, now that we're going to have this big tall intake on here, you're going to be able to see under it. So thought we'd just pretty it up a little bit.
Margaret's looking for one of these.
Huh?
Margaret's looking for one of these.
Good luck getting that from Tracy. Matter of fact, I'm supposed to be refurbishing it for her. That's why it's out here. Push on. Okay, got it. Yeah. You got them down on it? Yeah. That's some teamwork shit.
Well, that ain't the right size for it. This takes Allen wrenches. Better get your Allen wrenches out. Let me drop one of these down there in the motor.
Right. Yeah, let's put this plate on before we carry one of them over here.
Yeah, I just gonna look for your Allen wrenches. Pliers, colors, key, yes.
Put 4 on right now for the temporary install, and then, you know, put more when we finish it. Okay, now this new intake, it actually uses studs. So you've got to screw the studs into your bolt holes here, and then the intake has to come straight down on. Now here's the problem. I have made up the fuel lines for my regulators. I'll show you better here in just a minute. I've made all the fuel lines up at the front of the intake, but I'm not sure how we're going to route the back of the intake because of our windshield wiper motor here. So I'm not sure if we're going to have to do something funky with that or what we're going to have to do. But we need to set the intake on right now, and we need to make up our fuel line going from, you know, our feed line, which is going to be -10, and we've got to get it to this Y. So for the time being, we're not going to put the gaskets on this, and I'm just going to put 4 studs in here so we can set the intake on temporarily and make up that fuel line. Then we'll take it off and finish everything up, put the gaskets on, and slap it on permanently.
Well, you got a problem.
Got a problem? Oh shit.
You're gonna have to cut something. Ah! Look back here at the back.
Yeah, it's sitting on top of it, ain't it? Just let go of it, let it, well, kind of sit so I can move around. Wait. Yeah, that ain't gonna fucking work. We might have to take the lid off. And
How far? You gotta go back.
it's just gotta go back 1 inch.
Yeah.
All right, lift the back up.
I gotta do that.
And what's it hitting on over there? Is the fuel stuff hitting?
It's up against this plug.
Okay, hold on. Let me come over here and look. What I might have to do is just go to the store and find some Allen head fasteners and not use these studs. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. All right.
This is gonna be better for us than some whole thing else.
Oh, yeah. So that's all it is, man.
I mean, you can see your clearances back here, how you gonna run your fuel line and shit.
Yeah, there's plenty of room back here. There's plenty of room. The studs are the problem.
Alright, your dipstick.
You can still get to it, can't you?
Well,
It's always
Yeah.
been tight.
yeah.
The fuel line
Yeah.
is a nightmare scenario. So here's the thing. I think the fuel, the way I had it with the Y, I think it'll be fine, but we'll have to take this off to hook everything up. But the fuel lines that I made up front,
Yeah.
that regulator needs to come up higher because it's sitting on top of my boost reference lines. Well, no, it's probably going to be okay. But if I shorten them a little, I mean, it's pressing down
If
on
you
stuff.
can turn this up, it'll raise it up. Like,
Yeah.
it'll raise it
I mean, they're
up.
swivels.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Yeah, I have to loosen these
Loosen these
and
up.
have them come straight.
Well, you can
and
turn
then
it
I'll raise
out, you can turn it out and you can raise it.
Right.
Way up
Now I've also got this hole right here where that sensor is supposed to go to. But I could plug it and just run that sensor in the intake tube like we had it before. All right, so here's where we're at, guys. We're trying to figure a few things out. One thing for sure we figured out is we are definitely gonna have to get rid of these studs for this intake. And we ran one all the way down. We done some measuring. What we need is some Allen head bolts, kind of like these, but they need to be 62 millimeters long. The reason for that is we're not going to be able to set this intake straight on, just because partially the cowl, which you can see once it's on, there's all kinds of, I mean, I got all kinds of room once it's on there, but we can't set it straight down, which is what you have to do with these studs. So we're going to get some bolts. Another issue is I cannot figure out any way to run this fuel line and keep my my windshield wipers. So we're trying to figure out something with that. I really don't want to get rid of the windshield wipers because, you know, yeah, I mean, the ultimate plan for this car is we would like to power tour it and stuff like that, but the problem is, you know, if you get caught in the rain, I don't know. I'm thinking about it, guys. I'm seriously thinking about ditching the windshield wipers. It would make things a lot easier to work on, a lot easier.
Well, if you do get it ready to go to a power tour, you can always have an option to put it back on somehow or another.
Well, not if our fuel lines.
And we can always work out something else to get it back on.
Yeah. So we're thinking this over, guys, trying to figure out what we're gonna do. I think we're fixing to go to the hardware store and try to find what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try to find 10 62 millimeter long bolts in this thread pitch right here. Whatever it is, we'll have to figure it out. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Like I said, we just gotta figure this out. Figure out the fuel line situation. That's really the only thing that's holding us up at this point, is me trying to make a decision if I want to ditch the windshield wipers or not. All right, guys, it's actually about a week later, and I posted a video, you guys know, asking what I should do, and the overwhelming consensus is to just get rid of the windshield wipers. There were a few of you who had said something about, you know, using a smaller windshield wiper motor, but as you can kind of tell, no windshield wiper motor is going to go the way I currently have this set up. So what we're going to do, we're going to leave the windshield wipers on, but we're going to leave the motor off for now. In the future, when we switch to manual brakes and do a few other little changes, at that point, I'm going to try to reroute the fuel lines to go back under, and, you know, we may possibly be able to either put the factory motor back on or do a conversion that some of you guys were suggesting. But for now, I have got all the fuel lines made up. Let's see. Yeah, this fuel line goes right here between the flex fuel sensor and the other fuel lines I made up. So all we're going to do now, we're going to take this intake back off, tighten everything up that I made, and try to figure out a solution for my vacuum line for my brakes, because currently we do still have power brakes on here. And yeah, then we'll move on to the final installation, you know, put all the gaskets on and all that jazz. So we took our vacuum block off our old intake. We had it on the driver's side. We moved over here to the passenger side and just took some aluminum stock here, or what do you call that?
That's just
angle. I don't know why I can't think of that right now, but we took a piece of aluminum angle and cut it, drilled holes, mounted it to the lid there, and mounted our block to that. Now up here, I ended up swapping out and going with one of these Motion Raceworks brackets for the throttle, and flipping the throttle body back around, just because the way we had our regulator, the throttle cable would have hit it. So just a word to Motion Raceworks, if you're listening, you need to slot your brackets, man. So with the bracket unslotted, you would have had to completely disassemble the throttle cable to put it through here. So what I did is I just took a grinder and cut a little slot in it, so now I can put the throttle cable up in it and clamp it down. I might show you guys that later, but I'm going to finish up. We got our fuel injection harness here. I'm going to go ahead and plug all that in and I guess we just got to put the gaskets on the bottom, and it's time to set this baby on. Oh, one more thing. So here's what I worked out at the back for the brake booster. I just screwed this big nipple in here. It's a 3/8 MPT, I think. Screwed it in here, and then I took a 1/8 MPT 90 and brought it down and put our little quick connect here. So I'm gonna run a line from this quick connect around here and to probably this first quick connect here, and then everything else will run off here. Our map sensor will go into here. Our heater diverter door for now, it'll go into this one. And I'm trying to think, it seems like there's something else that needs to go into one too. Oh yeah, this last one here will go to my boost control solenoid, which is going to be up here somewhere. Something I kind of touched on earlier, we're not using the studs. We can't set the intake straight down, and what I'm worried about, these gaskets are just O-ring gaskets that sit in here, and I'm pretty sure the reason they want you to use studs is so, you know, you have to set it straight down so these O-rings don't like pop out while you're sliding stuff around. I did find some bolts that will work instead of the studs, but I'm trying to figure out if we should get like some gasket tack to hold these in, because I'm kind of worried they're going to pop out while we're putting this on. Just to let you guys know, if you want to replace your studs with bolts, I'll put a link in the video description for these. I got these online, 10 of them for like, I think $8. They're stainless steel, and they are M6 by 100 thread, and they're 65 millimeter long. And you know, once you put a washer under them, they're perfect. I mean, they're just the perfect length to bolt this down, so you can get rid of the studs that way. But then you've got, you know, the issue I'm worried that we're gonna have where you know, one of these gaskets could pop off, like that one's already trying to come out, Ray.
Let's go get some gasket.
Yeah, we're gonna get some gasket tack to put in here, because that would suck to get this on and then have a big vacuum leak. Also, like I said we were gonna do, we just took one zip tie and ran it all the way around the intake, and that's gonna hold the fuel line and our injector harness, which is all plugged in. That's gonna hold it up. Then after we install it, I can snip that zip tie and let it fall down, but that'll keep it out of the way while we're holding it on. It's pretty much a self-contained unit now. We got our vacuum line going to here. I just gotta put my brake line on. Yeah, we're doing good. Okay, so it was a balancing procedure, but we managed to set the intake almost straight down on, so really hoping none of the gaskets moved on us. I guess we'll find out if we start it up and have a massive fucking vacuum leak. That would suck. But at this point, we're taking our stainless bolts that I told you about and just put a lock washer on each one of them, and we're running all those down and just gonna start hooking everything back up. All right, guys, we got her on there. So basically, we just had to be really freaking careful. I don't think any of the gaskets slipped, but if they did, then I guess we'll know when we finally fire this thing up, because we'll have a massive vacuum leak. But I went ahead and made up a new vacuum line from my map sensor here over to here. I've got my heater actuator plugged into this one, and my boost controller, I'm trying to figure out kind of what I want to do with it. My Mac valve here, I almost want to just turn it this way and maybe just run it straight from here to this last one. Originally it was up here like this, so I'm not quite sure how I'm wanting to do that yet. I really need to make some kind of bracket for that, I guess. I just had it zip tied temporarily on the old setup, but I would prefer to do something a little more permanent this time around, because we just did it that way because we knew that it was temporary. I guess what I need to do now, Ray went to the store to get, oh, Ray's back. Ray went to the store to get some vacuum line to finish off the power brake stuff, and then I guess we just need to hook up the fuel lines and set the fuel pressure I don't know if we're going to start it today, just because the previous owner of this intake had drilled a hole under here for the IET sensor, or the manifold air temp, you know, depends on whether you're speaking Holley or factory. But we weren't able to use it because of the way I have my fuel pressure regulator. So we're gonna have to weld a bung in our new pipe when we make our new pipe here. So I don't know if we're gonna start it today or not, but we're gonna try to get it buttoned up. So those little temporary coil brackets, spacers that we made a while back to lift the coils up so the spark plug wires wouldn't touch these up and forward headers. A couple of them have broke and they're just not holding up very well. They were just temporary, like a lot of things. So we got some aluminum stock and we're making some nicer, more durable brackets to take their place here. We got the new intake on. So I was gonna go over a few things with you. Ray has already left, but we got her all on here, guys. And so what we did, we made those new brackets. I've talked about like 4 times already, I'm sure. But we made the new brackets for the coil spacers, got them spaced up. We actually ran the wiring underneath the manifold now, so I don't have wires hanging everywhere up here like I did with the stock manifold. I still need to tie these back. Once I get everything situated, I'll probably push these back and, you know, zip tie them together so they're not just hanging everywhere like that. But we got that done. I did use some heat wrap for the return line because it's a couple inches away from the header down there, so I want to make sure it had a little insulation. Come around to this side, we got everything tied up here. Same story with the coil brackets. They're spaced up so they're not touching the headers. I am not sure, like I got my boost control hooked back up here. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with that. I don't really like where it's at. I mean, I could just zip tie it to the fuel rail there. It really wouldn't hurt anything. Just leave it just like that. I really don't want to do that though, but guys, it's like this. I would rather just mount it over to the side here or something, but we're running twin turbos, so I'm kind of forced to have all those lines running there to a central location, and I don't want it any closer to one wastegate than the other. As a matter of fact, when I was measuring my lines, I did everything I could to make them equal lengths. I don't know if that affects anything, but I wanted to make sure the signal or whatever reaches the wastegates at, you know, about the same time, just so there wasn't any issues there. But that's all buttoned up. We got our throttle cable here. I am gonna have to shorten it just about 1 inch because it's about 1 inch too long. I had my daughter get in the car there, and when she's got the pedal at wide open throttle, I can still twist it about 1/2 inch. So the line probably needs to be shortened by 1 inch, but that's not a big deal. I can do that later. This guy here, I was gonna talk to you guys about that on this throttle body here. I've just got this plugged for now, but this guy, you can twist it and it pulls out like that. Now this hole needs to be plugged and in a boosted application, and there's 2 ways to go about doing it that, you know, that I know of. One is to drill it out and tap it for like a 1/4 inch MPT plug and just screw the plug in. The easier way, and what I'm probably gonna do, is just cake it full of JB weld. Just fill that whole hole up with JB weld. And for those of you who don't know, all this is a pre-throttle body vacuum signal. It just, that hole goes straight to the front of the throttle body. So we really don't need that. And in a boosted application, it's just gonna be a boost leak. So up here, currently what we've got going on is I've just got a straight piece of pipe running through here. We're gonna take a dolly and bend this in a little, or hell, I may just cut it out. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But it is touching it right now. I'm not sure if we're gonna keep just a straight pipe. I think my cousin Brad is coming over tomorrow to look at it after he gets off work. He may want to fab up a little, you know, he might want to take the pipe and make a little dip-de-doo to make it look not so just pieced together. But something else he's got to do for me is we got to get our blow-off valve here on there, and we're gonna have to weld a bung for the intake air temp sensor on there. So I've got a new flange for the blow-off valve, And I'm thinking what we're probably gonna do is just mount it on the bottom side. I think if we mount it up top here, it's gonna stick out too far. So we'll probably just mount the blow-off valve underneath like that. And then maybe put the IET sensor like right here on the side. Would be a good place for it. Or something else I'm gonna run by Brad is, hell, maybe just having the blow-off valve on the intercooler down here. You know, just cut a hole in the intercooler here and maybe get a second blow-off valve just for just to be symmetrical. Guys, these blow-off valves, these tile knockoffs, they're only like 35 bucks on eBay, so it's not a huge deal. It wouldn't be a huge deal to get a second one, and it would just release pressure that much faster. But anyway, we got it all put together, and we do have a few problems other than, you know, still needing to finish our charge pipe here. One problem I had was the clamps that came with this guy here, and this is a 4-inch to 3-inch adapter. Well, the inside diameter of the throttle body is 3 inches. The outside is slightly larger, which means you got to really work to get this coupler on here. That's a good thing because that's going to prevent it from blowing off. But that's also a bad thing because the clamps that come with a 4-inch coupler, I cannot get them over the throttle body. And I took it loose and just wrapped it around, and I couldn't get enough screw to come out of here for me to grab a hold of with the nut there. So what I've done is I've ordered a pair of these clamps on eBay. It's just like $5 a pair, but I ordered them for a 4.25 inch. So I'm thinking, you know, that ought to go over there just fine. The 3-inch clamps, we're fine with all those. I got plenty of those. So we'll get that taken care of. Like I said, that's already on the way. But the other problems we have, one of them is my transmission dipstick. It is way back there. Now, I do want to say it's always been a bear to get to, even with the truck intake. I mean, I had to kind of wiggle my hand back there and push wires, and you got to pull it out at a weird angle to check the transmission fluid. You got to use a flexible funnel to put transmission fluid in. The problem I have now is because of the way I had to run this big -8 fuel line kind of up and over to make it made up with everything over there. Between that and this vent line, my -10 vent line that runs to the driver's side cover over there, valve cover, there is no physical way for me to get in to check the dipstick. Like, I can pop this out and get this out of the way, but I still cannot reach through there. So the only way for me to check my transmission fluid or add transmission fluid is I have to take this vent line from my catch can loose first, so I can get a wrench on this vent line and take it loose, and then pull it up over the top of the engine, and then I've got just enough room to reach behind this new fuel line and pull the dipstick tube out, or the dipstick out. So that's kind of a pain, guys. And again, you know, a lot of what I'm doing here is temporary. Eventually, when we switch to manual brakes over there, I'll be able to reroute some stuff and probably make this line go down more, because the flex fuel sensor will be able to drop it down possibly under the master cylinder. So, you know, this stuff's not going to be like that forever. But the big problem I got here, and the only reason that I'm not able to start the car right now, or that I won't attempt to start the car right now, is we're having issues possibly with fuel pressure. So we went to pressurize the fuel system so we could check all of our new lines and fittings and stuff for leaks. And the problem I've got is, according to my Holley dash, I'm only building 10 pounds of fuel pressure. And it doesn't matter if I screw this adjustment screw. Like you can see right now, it's in almost as far as it'll go. I can screw it all the way in, all the way out. It doesn't change anything. Now, I can't remember if I told you in the beginning of the video or not, but this is an Aeromotive knockoff fuel pressure regulator. Guys, I've been sitting on this thing for about 2 years. I bought it 2 years ago for like, I think 28 bucks on eBay. And you guys know I've used the bigger Aeromotive knockoff regulators from eBay several times, never had a problem with them. I wanted to try this one because it's the smaller one, and you know, it would allow me to do my stuff like I did it. So my initial thought was, oh great, this fuel pressure regulator don't work. And in my head, it doesn't make sense, because it comes with 2 springs, one for low pressure for carb applications and one for high pressure for EFI. And I took it apart before I put it on here and made sure it had the stiffer spring in it for EFI, and everything looked good in it. Everything was, well, there's not much inside of a regulator, but everything was moving freely. Nothing looked suspect or anything. I mean, it looked pretty damn nice inside, to be honest. But obviously the first thing I looked at was the fuel pressure regulator, because that's one of the only things that's really changed up here since we switched the intakes. But my problem with that is, even if it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do, the fuel pressure should still change in one direction or another between having the adjustment screw all the way out and all the way in. And I'm getting nothing, no pressure change at all. So I'm almost wondering if maybe my Low Dollar Motorsports fuel pressure transducer here has crapped out on me. So that's kind of where I'm at with that, guys. Like, I've either got a fuel pressure regulator problem, or I've got a transducer problem, and it's actually building more fuel pressure than it's saying. I cycled the key forward on and off several times. It never went above 10 psi. And like I said, I can adjust that screw in or out as far as I want to on the regulator. No change at all. It's like right at 9 to 10 psi. It kind of bounces in that range there. So I don't know, guys. The problem is, what I wanted to do is, I've got a mechanical fuel pressure gauge, 1/8 MPT, that screws into a fuel rail. So what I was going to do is, I was going to unscrew my sensor here and screw the mechanical gauge in, so I could see if, is it a sensor problem? Am I actually making way more fuel pressure than I thought? But the issue with that is, I can't find that gauge anywhere. I don't know what I've done with it. I don't have any other way to check the fuel pressure, really. So all I can say is, if it is building fuel pressure, then none of these fittings are leaking. Everything's golden. If it's not, then obviously I can't run this engine on 10 pounds of fuel pressure. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm going to see if I can borrow a mechanical gauge from somebody, or if my cousin comes over tomorrow, I might see if he's got a fuel injection test kit with a gauge that we can come over here and hook up to that. I've got like what's supposed to be a pressure test kit, but this is old school. I've had it since I was 16, and it's actually for carb pressure. So it doesn't show above 15 psi anyway. But the important thing is, we do have the intake manifold on, the new high ram. As soon as we get the fuel pressure figured out and get my cousin to make up our new charge pipe here, we should be ready to roll. Then after that's done, the next thing we're gonna do to the car, since I can't race it right now, guys, I really wanted to see how far I could go on this stock 10 bolt. I mean, we've been 680s with it so far, and it does make some noise and grunt a little bit, but it hadn't given up the ghost yet. But since I can't drive it right now anyway, I want to go ahead and get our new 9-inch put in. So that's probably going to be in the next few videos. We're going to go ahead and get our 9-inch put together, get the axles put in it, get the center section put in it, get it put in the car. Now, we did order it a 1/2 inch shorter than stock on each side, so we are going to have to do a little clearance on the inner wheel wells here for our tires, but we'll go over all that in that video. The only thing that's stopping me from doing this install right now is I'm in need of brakes, and I might have a kind of creative way. If I don't have to buy a new fuel pressure regulator, I may have a kind of creative way of coming up with the money for the brakes. You guys will just have to wait and see what I'm talking about on that. But all in all, that's it. That's our Holley high ram intake install on Project Chaos Theory Camaro here. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks once again for watching. Now get off YouTube, get out in the garage, get something done, and I'll see you next time here on Bad Luck Garage.